So you've got all these great kitchen scraps that you want to compost for your garden, but you don't have space for a compost pile. So maybe a worm bin is what you need. You can buy a ready-made worm bin, or you can build one yourself. I'll show you how. First, take a large plastic storage container. About 15 gallons should work. Make sure it has a lid. Buy an extra lid too. Drill some drainage holes in it. You want to put about 25 to 30 holes in it. Next, we're going to put ventilation holes in. We're going to put 2 rows of holes all the way around the container, about 3 inches down from the top. Put some in the top too. Your second lid is going to be a tray to catch any liquid that drains out. You want to put a couple of blocks of wood down, which will allow airflow. Now we're ready to prepare the bedding. I'm going to get lots of shredded newspaper and shredded office paper. Nice and fluffy. Dunk handfuls of it into a bucket of water, and wring it out. You don't want them to be soggy, you want them to be damp, like a wet sponge. You can also add dried leaves to the bedding. The worms will love that. You'll also add a cup of ordinary garden soil. This will provide the grit the worms need for digestion and also introduce important microorganisms into the composting process. Okay, now you're ready to add worms. Wait, what worms? Where do you get worms from? Can you use ordinary garden worms? These are good questions. So no, you don't want to use regular earthworms from your garden. You want to get a composting worm, such as the red wiggler. So you can get these online, or you can buy them at a sporting goods shop or a bait and tackle shop. I bought these at Kurtz's Fish Farm in Elverson, Pennsylvania. You want to get about a pound of worms, which is anywhere between 600 and 1,000 worms. When it comes to feeding your worms, simply bury kitchen scraps in the bedding. The worms will eat raw vegetables and fruit scraps. Avoid adding anything fatty or spicy, no oils, nothing cooked, and never give them meat. Put the lid on, and you want to find a place for your bin that's out of direct sunlight, and generally it stays below 75 degrees. A basement is a nice place for that. If you notice a really bad smell coming from the bin, you need to add more carbon, such as leaves. If you notice fruit flies, add some apple cider vinegar. Pour a little bit in a jar or a small vase and just set it in there. The flies will lay their eggs in there and your problem will go away in a few days. In about 3 months, you'll notice that the bedding in your worm bin has disappeared, and in its place is what looks like finished compost. And indeed, that's what it is. To harvest it, slide all of the compost to one side of the bin and add fresh bedding to the other side. The worms will migrate over to the fresh bedding, and then you can scoop out the finished compost. After about a year, you're going to notice that your worm bin is really crowded with worms. So you want to scoop out half of them, give them to a friend, or start another bin.